The following is rated S for spoilers. From the tabletop RPG world that gave us a whole generation of goth LARPers, and the developers of actual fantasy football games and managing pro cyclers, comes a mediocre action game based on a much more interesting RPG system. And we all know how well that works out.
Go!
Yo.
Werewolf the Apocalypse, Earthblood. Discover the robust lore of the World of Darkness RPG systems, which you probably only know from Bloodlines, an extremely good video game. Then get ready to lower your expectations like a guillotine as you experience the adaptation of the less popular White Wolf system in a game that gives you a sense of how these things usually go by being completely unlike the RPG and instead play suspiciously like the developer's previous stealth action games, only much easier, with most of the lore acting as set dressing for an extremely trite story, acted out in cutscenes with animation quality straight out of 2004, and all of the actual systems replaced with an extremely basic skill tree. In a game you'll still play through anyway if you're a fan, because they said the words Black Spiral Dancer in the first hour, and you're desperate enough to eat this stuff straight out of the trash can at this point. Uncover the most militant arm of the furries, as you inhabit the body of Sons of Anarchy reject Cahal, and fight to protect Gaia and the land spirits from the machinations of the Worm, which I guess is just industrialization, perpetuated by the evil corporation Enron, who aren't even trying to pretend it isn't just Enron with a D, to stop their plans of mass environmental destruction through some good old-fashioned eco-terrorism, where you and your group of werewolf friends go around committing as much property damage as you can, then basically f it up every time and watch everyone you love die, in a narrative that manages to be as much of a bummer as the actual gameplay. And depending on what ending you pick, either compounds the misery porn even harder or ends on a cliffhanger. You know what the saddest part is? They wrote the ending thinking there would actually be a sequel. Now there's a tragedy. Launch into the stealth action gameplay of Werewolf, where you'll clear out a bunch of nearly identical facilities by moving from one sealed-off stealth playground to the next, turning into a wolf version of Earthblood with approximately 8-foot hops, then painstakingly creep around, eliminate guards, and turn off cameras until you manage to slip through, or accidentally press the R1 button and realize that it's more fun and like twice as fast to just turn into a werewolf and murder everyone, where you'll mostly just walk straight into guys and hit them while mashing your heal button whenever it pops up, then move on to the next area where no one has noticed that you splattered the last room's 20 guards all over the walls, in fast-paced, bloody combat that isn't very complicated, but is still the most satisfying part of this game, at least until the endgame, where they actually try to challenge you, and you go back to stealthing just to avoid having to fight like 3 mechs at once, in gameplay that doesn't really get harder as much as more annoying to play. You know, I don't want to be the a-hole here, but maybe these guys should, I don't know, just stop installing doggy doors in all their ventilation shafts? So drink in that topiary, and get ready to get fast and furious in a game that almost makes you feel bad for it, because it's clearly trying really hard, but still ends up so far from its potential that it's pretty tough to recommend to anyone. Even if you have a Red Talons tattoo on your ballsack, I'd still wait for a sale. Starring Disney's The Shaggy Dog, Dead, The Scorpion Queen, Peta T. Bug, Wildlife Alert, Bargain Bin Ripley, Tom Cruise from Tropic Thunder, the Jolly Green Decapitated Giant, and this cool-ass bear, Werewolf the Shrugpocalypse. Hey, at least we have Bloodlines 2 to look forward to someday, right? Balls. Tell us what you'd like to hear in my epic voice in the comments below. The spice must flow, or the whole litany against fear. We live in a society where honor is a distant memory. Isn't that right, Batman? What is a non-player character? Violence isn't the answer. Violence is the question. Yes is the answer. That boy ain't right.